First of all, this name itself, Pañcadaśī. Then we see the structure of the text and the author. So, Pañcadaśī name, Pancha is 5, Dasha is 10, Pañcadaśī. So in Sanskrit there is a habit of, like Vanaprastha, anything that ends in a, which describes a certain state or describes a certain, in this case, ashrama. And the one who is in an ashrama at that time, he is described as Vanaprasthi, Grihastha stage of life. The one who is in that stage is described as Grihasthi. Who is in Brahmacharya is described as Brahmachari, like that. So here, Pañcadaśī, 5 plus 10. That English, addition is a little bit different from English. In English, nobody says 5 plus 10. It's 10 plus 5. Like that. 4 and 20 blackbirds, I told you. No? So 4 plus 20, you have 24. So 5 plus 10 is equal to 15. And that book or text which is containing 15 chapters is called as Pañcadaśī. That is what we have done. 5 plus 10, that is it. Now see, Rishis also did not think too much about naming text, isn't it? Many texts, they just named after the fact. Or many texts are just named by the first word or some such thing like that. Because one word, for one word to capture the whole text, that is also very difficult. So they many times left it up to people after to name that thing. And even when they named that, Pañcadaśī has named Ramcharitamanas in the text itself. But people hardly say Ramcharitamanas. People say Tulsi Ramayana. So they know when they name also, people may say something else. But anyway, how easily the name is given. Pañcadaśī, that text which contains 15 chapters. And there will be many texts that contain 15 chapters. Some will contain more. But anyway, Pañcadaśī. Now, it is divided into these 15 chapters, divided into 3 groups of 5 each. And they also have names, those 3 groups, given names also. So, the first group is called as Tattva Vivek. Tattva Vivek means in those 5 chapters in the beginning of this Pañcadaśī, Vidyāranya Swāmīji is the author. We will see about Vidyāranya Swāmīji just now. Vidyāranya Swāmīji is dealing with discrimination on tattva. The tattva. Tattva means reality. Discrimination on the reality. And it is said that the reality is called as Sat. Sat. So these first 5 chapters deal with this. You know the Sat, Chit, Anand. Deal with this Sat, a reality, the nature of the reality. The next 5 chapters, first 5 chapters, next 5 chapters, not 6 with Gita, is called as Deepa Prakarana. Deepa. Tattva Vivek Prakarana, Deepa Prakarana. Deepa means a lamp actually. And lamp or light in the tradition is usually used to symbolize consciousness. So, the second group of 5 chapters deal then with consciousness or Chit. So, Sat, Chit. So there is reflection on the chit aspect of the reality. And the last group of 5 chapters is called as Ananda Prakarana, which deals, as the name says, deals with Ananda, Satchit. So reflection on Ananda. So this is about Pañcadaśī, the text containing 15 chapters and 5 chapters each dealing with Satchit, Ananda, and their names also, which is Tattva Viveka Prakarana, Deepa Prakarana. Deepam, I told you, means a lamp, and Ananda Prakarana means bliss. Now, in all of them you hear the word Prakarana. And even though this is a text on great reflection on the reality, on Chit, on Ananda and all of that, it is still considered to be a Prakarana Grantha. It is as opposed to what we call as Shastra, which is Upanishad, etc. This is called as Prakarana Grantha. Prakarana word means an episode, chapter, topic, like that. Prakarana. Ordinarily speaking, we use the word Prakarana to mean a text that deals with basic ideas and concepts. And it deals with specific topics. A specific topic or few specific topics. While Shastra or Upanishad will deal with the whole tradition, whole philosophical tradition as such. So Prakarana deals with a specific topic, or sometimes the literal meaning of the word Prakarana is chapter or section, like that sometimes. Episode, all that kind of thing. So Prakarana, it is called a Prakarana Grantha. Now among the Prakarana Granthas, there are also very basic ones, and then there are those that deal with higher reflection. So the basic Prakarana Grantha, which you may have studied in the past, is Tattvabodha, where all the terminologies are explained one by one. What does this terminology mean? What does that mean? And there's an introduction to all the terminologies that will be used in Vedanta thereafter. So that is what Tattvabodha is about. And then you go to other Prakarana Granthas, like for example, Bhajagovindam, which you have studied, which deals with one topic I was studying. That topic is there. That topic of delusion and detachment from the world. Delusion first and detachment. Moha Mudgara, a blow to Moha, or delusion. So the whole text centers around that delusion and detaching from the world. So one topic, whereas the Upanishads will deal with a whole philosophical tradition. All topics will be there within the Upanishads. So that is the difference. Prakarana. And now this Prakarana Grantha deals with reflection at the higher end. Deep reflection. Not just thinking about simple things like what is sadhana chatushtaya, viveka vairagya samadhi shatta sampatti, mukshutvam. Those are just you learn them by heart. You do some reflection also, but you learn by heart. Here it is on really deep reflection, as we will see when we get into the text. I don't think we'll get into the text today, but we'll see that. Don't worry, we have many days. Means I have many days. Those who will come back after today as well. Alright, so the deep reflection on specific topics. Okay. Right. So this is this text at the higher end of Prakarana Granthas. We will learn also today that Prakarana Granthas are not to be taken lightly. And we learn from the study of this Pañcadaśī. Prakarana Granthas, so many times we say, no, those are beginner's text. People say, beginner's text. It is not. And actually, it is very good to take things out and study them in isolation. Makes things very clear. I remember, like when you're doing high school maths set, all mathematics is one subject mathematics. But when we went up to higher mathematics, they separated functions and relations, which I never understood. Calculus, algebra, they were actually different courses and different classes and different subjects. If you pass algebra, you pass a whole subject. Like that. And in lower mathematics, everything is. So it's good to take out something and study that thing by itself. It makes things clearer. So it will take out certain subject matters from the Upanishad and study that. This is what the text will do. Alright. So now, this is about the sections, then about Prakarana Grantha, and the 5 sections, the 5 chapters in each section dealing with 3 different topics. Tattva, Deepa means Satchit, Ananda, and Ananda. Tattva, Deepa, and Ananda Prakarana. Now about the author. It is part of the tradition that we also study about the author, because a reverence is to be developed for the author. In the tradition, we do not just simply think that we are reading a book. Why the author has to be studied, I will tell you now. We do not simply think that we are reading a book. We think that we are listening to a teacher, a guru, who is speaking to us through that book. So we are not reading something dead, something inanimate, merely. So when we study the teacher, the life of the teacher, study his background and all of that, we have that picture of the teacher in mind, and when we read what is in front of us, which is an inanimate thing, we have at the same time the picture of that guru or the teacher, and when we bring the two together, then we feel that we are listening to this teacher directly. So in the tradition, you see, any text that we have done, we will study Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi before we study his text. We will study Bhagavan Shankaracharya before we study his text, all like that. That is part of the tradition. Because we animate what is inanimate in front of us by putting a live person to this inanimate thing. The other thing is the study of the life of great teachers like the great Nityananda Swami brings that reverence in the mind and makes the mind conducive and receptive for Vedanta. So it is a preparation of the mind itself also when we develop reverence. That is why when we go to the guru, to the ashram, to the monastery, wherever we go there and bow. So the first thing we do is bow. So that first bowing brings the right frame of mind to absorb whatever will be taught or experienced after that entrance into the monastery. You see, all these things about what may seem as ritualistic in the beginning, all these things have been designed in such a way so as to make the mind more receptive, make the mind ready for what follows. They are not just things that we do without, a tradition follows without thinking, without any deliberation. They are all deliberate things. So here also now, the study of the life of the teacher, Vidyadhara Swamiji, in his Purva Ashrama. He took sannyas at a very late stage in life. He gave Vidyadhara Swamiji. Purva Ashrama he follows Madhava Acharya. Madhava Tirtha. That's his name. And he took sannyasa, he said, at a very late stage, at the age of maybe 85 or something. 75 is usually the age. 85, 5, 25, 75. But he was called as Madhava Acharya. And Sarvagya Sahi Madhava, it was said about him, that he had a tremendous amount of knowledge. So much knowledge that people used to call him Sarvagya before becoming sannyasi. And a very, very, very interesting thing, he had a younger brother whose name was Bhognath. Bhognath. His mother's name was Srimati. Bhognath, though younger, was his guru. How much knowledge Bhognath had? If Madhava himself was called as Sarvagya Sahi Madhava, then, and his younger brother Bhognath was his guru. Imagine how much knowledge he had. And what a strange thing, you very rarely will find a younger brother become the guru of a older brother. Anyway, this Bhognath, really speaking, if you really think he was not Bhognath, he was Yognath. Bhognath, really speaking, is Yognath. So, that Bhognath taught him. And in their names you will see that Tirtha is coming. Tirtha. Bhagavan Shankaracharya divided the names of the various Swamis based on the ashrama. Bhagavan Shankaracharya formed 4 main mats. One in what they call Joshi Mat in North India. Those of you who want to be tricky stuff, I don't know if anybody was there. But Joshi Mat in North. Then in South, that's Sringeri Mat. North, South. East, the Puri, and West, the Dwarka Mat. These 4 mats, and in these mats, there were different names of the Swami. So if you belong to Sringeri Mat in the South, the Swami's name will be, last name will be Saraswati. Saraswati. And also Puri. So different mats have different names, in the total of 10 different names. So sometimes you'll hear Swami Ramatirtha, or Govinda Puri, or Swami Shivananda Saraswati. That means they were connected to that south. Actually, Tirtha belongs to Dwarka, west, like that. So they had different last names. So 10 last names, which I don't remember all of them. One is Vana, Puri, Tirtha, Saraswati, like that. So you can go and do some research and see what those 10 names are. Our tradition in Chinmay, because Swami Shivananda Ji Maharaj belonged to the Sringeri Mat. So we got Saraswati. So all of Swami Shivananda's disciples, everybody became Saraswati. So if you did not know, my last name is Saraswati. But we usually use only the first name. So this, our Swāmī Vidyāranya-ji, he belonged to the Tirth, Swāmī Vidyāranya Tirth from Dwarka, that is the west much. Now see, there is no such thing as people from south much don't study north Gurus, and north Gurus don't study west Gurus, and that is only today. But in those days, whichever place had Gyan, people went for Gyan. That is supposed to be like that or not? See, a bee doesn't discriminate. I will not go to blue flowers. I will not. Human beings do all of those foolish things, you know. I will not go to this mutt. I will not listen to that teacher. I will not listen to that sampradaya. Human beings do those things. But a bee, any color flowers, once it has honey, the bee goes there. You see? So here also now, even though Vidyāranya Swāmīji belongs to Dwarka Mutt, and we belong to Sringeri Mutt, and we should not say, no, we don't study Swāmis from those mutt, especially those that don't have a danda. We like bees. We go wherever there is honey, wherever there is jnana, we go there. So in Mission we study Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi did not belong to any mutt. We study so many of his works. And so also now this Swami, this Vidyāranya Swāmīji. In South, they have a habit many times of putting a Swāmīji named Sakal. Vidyāranya Swāmīji. Like that they say. So, Vidyāranya Swāmīji was called, I told you, as Madhava. And he had his younger brother as his teacher, and later on he took sannyas at a very late stage from one Pañcadaśī Swāmīji. Not Shankaracharya, Pañcadaśī. And he himself, the Pañcadaśī was the Shankaracharya of Sringeri Mutt in South, and later on was succeeded by Vidyāranya Swāmīji. Vidyāranya Swāmīji became the Shankaracharya of Sringeri Mutt. He was born, it is said, in around 1295. 1295, and lived way into his 90s also. Lived very long life. And this Pañcadaśī, it is said he wrote when he was perhaps 85 or something like that, when he took sannyas. And his last book. Before that he was writing profusely and commentary on Vedas and so many things. So if he's writing commentary on Vedas, that means you have to know the whole Veda. And these things are not far-fetched. I once saw in Nagpur a blind sage who knew the whole Vedas. That means he had to learn the whole thing. They didn't have braille. They didn't have braille or anything. He had to learn that whole thing by hearing only. And this is our time. The old days like this, how this Vidyāranya Swāmīji had to learn this old Veda. And his brother also. Sai and all his brother, but he had another brother named Sai. He also wrote so many different commentaries. These three brothers, he said, people, when they hear about these three brothers, they wonder about the parents. Like how before sons of Dasharatha, the Lord himself and his paraphernalia incarnate. What about parents? Whenever in Hindu tradition, whenever we hear about great characters, great people, immediately the mind goes back to the parents, because in order for great people to come into the world, you need great parents. So the moment we hear about these three brothers, we go, what about the parents? So, 1295, that means 1300, which 14th century. That's how English is counted. 14th century. He was born in 1295. It's 13 something in those years he lived and wrote, and then called 14th century. He seems to be spanning 3 centuries. But anyway, his work is very much alive today, and we study him, Chinmaya very nicely. Now, this book which we have studied, this book has chapters 5, 10 and 15, only 3 chapters a day. So it is the last chapter of the first section, the last chapter of the second section, and the last chapter of the third section. The only last chapters of these 3 sections that we are going to study. We cannot study the whole thing. Now, this is about Prakarana Grantha, about Pañcadaśī and about the author. And now our first chapter, which is really the 5th chapter of the first section. This is a little bit confusing, you pay attention to that. There are 3 sections with 5 chapters each. And this text just deals with the last chapter in those 3 sections. Yes. So there will be chapter 5, chapter 10 and chapter 15. Right? And I told you the first group is called as Tattva Viveka Prakarana. The second group is called Deepa Prakarana, and last group is called Ananda Prakarana. So Tattva Viveka is what's going to be reflected on the nature of the reality in this first section. And in this first section we're going to study now first the last chapter, which is chapter 5. And this chapter is called as Mahavakya Viveka. Mahavakya Viveka means reflections on the Mahavakyas. Reflection on the Mahavakya. So now what is Mahavakya? Maha means great. Vakya means a sentence or a statement. Vakya. So the great statements. Now see, if you are new to Vedanta, you will not know what that means also. What is great statement? Great statements. So great statements are countless in the Upanishads. And the common thread with all the great statements is they speak directly about the reality. They speak directly about the reality which we are studying. Reality means what? The absolute reality. What is called in Sanskrit as Brahman or Brahma. So these great statements speak about that reality. Second thing. Second point with that, we have to this great statement, which is essential, is they speak about our oneness to that reality. I am not in any way separate or distinct or apart or unconnected from this reality. So the oneness between myself and that reality. As long as these 2 things are captured, that thing is called as a great statement. First of all, the topic is the reality, and second is my oneness with that reality. Then becomes a Mahavakya, great statement. Otherwise, you can talk about any topic, you can talk about reality separately. I am not connected. Then the reality is like this. In fact, that's how most of the world talk about God, isn't it? Most of the world talks about God. He is there somewhere sitting in the sky or in some heavenly region with clouds beneath his feet. There are staff and sitting there with a long beard, grey hair. Let him be there. I take care of my things here. Let him take care of his inward connection. There is no connection. So most of the world speak about reality and God and absolute like that. And I don't know how it is called absolute or not, because we use the terminologies and all, but we don't think about it. Huh? And he's infinite, and those things are not explained. People just speak about God like that. But anyway, in the Upanishads, the tradition has, the Upanishads themselves do not say that this is a Mahavakya. The Upanishad does not claim, okay, pay attention. Now I am going to tell you Mahavakya number 1. The Upanishad doesn't any such thing. The tradition has extracted 4 Mahavakyas from the 4 Vedas, which the tradition feels sums up the teachings of those 4 Vedas, or which the tradition also feels is sufficient for us to study as a representation of that Veda. 1 Mahavakya from each Veda. Now see all of these little detailed things that I want to tell you. There we have 4 Vedas. And at the end of each of the 4 Vedas, we have little texts coming there which speak about the reality, speak about the whole philosophical tradition. Those little texts are called as Upanishads. So there are many Upanishads, and many of them lost also. There are many Upanishads. I have a book containing 256 Upanishads. Those Upanishads, 256 Upanishads, they come at the end of these 4 Vedas, distributed in these 4 Vedas at the end. So now, from the Rig Veda, which is the oldest of all the Vedas, there is the Aitiriya Upanishad. Aitiriya Upanishad has the first Mahavakya, which is called as Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma. That means to say that consciousness is infinite. The absolute reality, which is of the nature of consciousness, is infinite. This is the Mahavakya from the Aitiriya Upanishad, which belongs to the Rig Veda. So that Mahavakya will be studied in chapter 5, which we are studying. I must also tell you, chapter 5 is the shortest chapter in Pañcadaśī, and we might finish it in these days. Chapter 5 is the shortest chapter. It has only 8 verses. And how many Mahavakyas we are dealing with? 4. So 8 verses, I mean 2 Mahavakya, 2 verses on the first Mahavakya, like that, 2 each. 8. So that is how this chapter 5 will be structured. So anyway, now I was telling you about the Mahavakya. So Aitiriya Upanishad, from the Rig Veda, the Mahavakya Prajnanam Brahma. Then the next Mahavakya comes from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka belongs to Yajurveda. Yajurveda. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajurveda, and the Mahavakya is Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. Don't say that outside this classroom. People will think you are. I am the absolute reality. People will think you went to the classroom sane. And you came out insane. And then they will come in here looking to see who caused that. And I will get blamed. Aham Brahmasmi, I am the absolute reality. Like that. So this comes Brihadaranyaka Upanishad of the Yajurveda. The third Mahavakya is Tattvamasi, which comes in the Chandogya Upanishad, and the Chandogya Upanishad belongs to the Samaveda. Samaveda. Tattvamasi, that thou art. You are that. You are that. You means, we'll see as we go in the chapter, you are that reality. So all of those are technical words, and every one of them, they will have to be seen in detail. And this is what we'll be doing in the coming days. And the last Mahavakya belongs to the Atharva Veda, Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya, I am Atma Brahma. I am Atma Brahma. I am Atma Brahma means this Atma. I am means this in Sanskrit. This Atma is the absolute Brahma, the absolute self. I am Atma Brahma. These three and four Mahavakyas have also been designated with certain words that explain them. The first Mahavakya I told you is Prajnanam Brahma. That Mahavakya is called as Lakshana Vakya. Lakshana Vakya means it is the Vakya which is actually defining or delineating specifically what the reality is. So it is a statement of definition. It is a Vakya of definition, a Lakshana Vakya. Therefore, Prajnanam Brahma. It is defining or delineating, specifically pointing out the reality. Lakshana Vakya, a statement of definition, if you want to say in English. So, Prajnanam Brahma is a statement of definition. Then, the next one, Aham Brahmasmi, is called Anubhava Vakya. Anubhava Vakya means a statement of experience. Anubhava Vakya, a statement of experience. And third, Tattvamasi Mahavakya, that is called a statement of instruction. Upadesha Vakya, statement of instruction. Upadesha Vakya means you see the teacher is instructing. Tattvam, see, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi is an experience. I am Brahman. See? The last, which is called as I am Atma Brahma, is Anusandhana Vakya. Anusandhana. Anusandhana, it's a Vakya of self-revelation, self-recognition, like that. This self of mine, or this self of mine, if you use the word is wrong. This self is Brahman. This Atma is Brahman. It is a Vakya of recognition, self-recognition. Anusandhana Vakya. So these are the four Mahavakyas, and they are designated, given designations also. Now, in the coming days, we will study each one of them in the same order. They are given in this order because they are given in this order because again I am telling you, please see, the Vedas themselves do not give any order for anything. This is because of many years of study. The rishis think that it is best to lay out these Mahavakyas in this order, and there is one rationale in the beginning. The first one is Rig Veda, which is the oldest, where you find the Aitareya Upanishad, and therefore naturally that we have a tendency to put the older one first. It comes first because of that reason. It was first there. Oldest, now see that also you can ask too many questions and all that. But what is the meaning of oldest? All the Vedas are always there. Vedas are coexistent with the universe. Right? So how do you say which is old and which is new? You can't say. So when we say old, now what do we mean? When we say Veda is the oldest, Rig Veda is the oldest, what do we mean? Rig Veda was revealed the first. What is revealed first means to say? When the rishis of the olden days sat and quieted the mind and let the mind go deeper and deeper and deeper and tap into all the various layers of this multi-tiered, multi-layered universe. Tapped into the layer of knowledge, which is Veda. First was revealed to them, came, dawned upon their mind first was the Rig, what is called as Rig Veda. Other things would reveal later on to their mind. So when you say Rig Veda is old, it doesn't mean that Atharva Veda was not there. At the level of the cosmic mind, all knowledge is there. All knowledge are already existing. It's not that something new and something good. Simultaneously existing, coexistent with the universe in the cosmic mind, cosmic consciousness. All knowledge already there. But just as Rig Veda was revealed first. Something has to be revealed first. You always have first and if you are in the realm of time, there will be first and last and middle. So the Rig Veda contains this Taittiriya Upanishad which has this Mahavakya, Prajnanam, Brahma, the consciousness is infinite. Consciousness, or the infinite is of the nature of consciousness, if you want to say it. But anyway, we will see all of these Mahavakyas in more detail when we go into these verses. Now, I have 15 minutes left. I think we will just chant and see literal meaning of this first verse today. And then we will go into these explanations tomorrow. येनेक्षते शृणोतीदम् जिघ्रति व्याकरोति च स्वाद्वस्वादु विजानाति तत्प्रज्ञानमुदीरितम् तत्प्रज्ञानम् udiritam. That is called udiritam as prajnanam. That is called as prajnanam. Now, since we did not start in the first chapter, we did not see any invocation. They were in the chapter, and you don't have any invocation in this book also. Maybe tomorrow you can write down the invocation from the. I'll write it down for you. Can put it on the board. Anyway, it felt jolting just now that there was no invocation directly. That's prajnanam. The wonderful thing about Vedanta also, the invocation of different types. And one type of invocation is invocation contemplating on the tattva. So the tat prajnanam, if the first thing I said about that absolute reality, if that was the first thing that is enough invocation, isn't it? The invocation can be of different types. One of the invocation is about reality only. So the first thing we think about is the absolute reality. That is consciousness. It's called as pure consciousness. What is called as pure consciousness? Yena ikshate shrinoti idam jigrati vyakaroti cha. That by which we see, hear, smell and do or speak, vyakaroti actually. That by which we speak. And then swādu, aswādu, vijanati. That by which we know, taste, that thing to taste good and which does not taste good. So that by which we taste, see, smell, touch, all of them, Prayopalakshana, touch is because in tasting we touch. If for tasting we have to touch. You can't taste something without touching it. So that the touch is not given. But that by which we smell, taste, touch, see and all that. Now see, I'll give you a simple example and then we'll see this tomorrow. Suppose a person likes jalebi. And that person enjoys enough jalebi in his lifetime. And he gets diabetes also, and he dies also. Suppose. In some of these very interesting Hindu traditions, whatever that fellow used to like when he was alive, when he dies, Hindu people believe you make all that food and you eat it. Right? Even when that fellow was living, he was giving cholesterol to him. When he's dead now, also still give more cholesterol. Anyway, so when he has now died, and you feel sorry, oh, Papa. 2 weeks now I was thinking of making jalebi for you because I know how you like jalebi. Now you have died and I did not get a chance to give you jalebi. So you make jalebi and you come and you give to Papa. So if you take the jalebi and you touch on his tongue of a dead man, you think he will taste anything? If your jalebi is really good, my way keep on. Well, I don't think anybody's jalebi is so good. So, there is that consciousness which was expressing through that tongue, which prior to this allowed him to taste the jalebi. Now, that consciousness is not expressing to that tongue anymore. And no matter how much jalebi you put there, of whatever quality, swādu pa swādu, it doesn't matter. That tongue is not going to taste anything because consciousness is not expressing through that tongue. That consciousness, tat prajñānam, that consciousness is what is being spoken about, udiritam. That is called as consciousness. That thing which was expressing through that tongue, which was allowing that person to say, this jalebi is first class. Or allowing that person to say, and he was speaking also, he speaks. And consciousness was allowing him to speak also. That consciousness is called as prajñānam. So this is what the verse is talking about. And that prajñāna consciousness is also called as Brahma. It is infinite. We will see the word Brahma also tomorrow. Alright. So prajñānam Brahma has begun and we will see the rest of it tomorrow. Okay. This is being carried live for who? On Zoom. Alright. We put it at this time so that you all can now also go to the job and have your regular miserable day. And come back tomorrow to get some more Vedanta. So again, empty your mind and prepare yourself for the next day. Anyway, we wish you a nice day. Carry Vedanta with you. Just see that you are the consciousness which is functioning through the eyes that are seeing whatever you see. Same consciousness functioning through the ears that are hearing whatever is going on. But you are not the eyes or the ears or whatever is going on. You are the consciousness that is enlivening the eyes and the ears, and the eyes and the ears are experiencing everything which is going on. In other words, to stay inside as you go about your day. Okay. Oh.